Dear students, we have to discuss furthermore the human reproductive system. One of the disorders that affect the female reproductive system, particularly the primary sex organ, the ovary, is Polycystic ovary syndrome, simply called as PCOS, Polycystic just ovary syndrome. Poly means many. Cyst refers to the partially developed follicle. Partially developed follicle is called as a cyst. So we have the development of many partially developed follicles, hence called polycystic ovary syndrome. So it is a disorder due to complex disorder of, we can say, complex disorder of endocrine system. This is a disorder of endocrine system that affects women during their reproductive life and during their reproductive years. As I mentioned earlier, cyst means partially developed follicle, then polycystic means development of many partially developed follicles. This is called as poly. So the development of partially just actually developed follicle, partially developed follicle, each one with an egg. That is one of the major symptoms of this polycystic ovary, development of partially developed follicles, each with an egg. These follicles do not grow to maturity, or they cannot produce eggs that can be fertilized. So they do not grow to maturity, they do not produce eggs, the one which is to be fertilized. Now what are the symptoms of this one? You see that way, we have number one, irregular menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is not proper. The second one, increased concentration of androgens. Androgen is a male sex hormone found only in the case of males. But in the case of that is female, that androgen, the male sex hormone, is secreted by the adrenal cortex. The gland, adrenal gland, the adrenal cortex. So we have sex steroids also produced by the gland, adrenal gland. So in the case of female, when the secretion of androgen increases, they have developed certain what is called the masculine characters. Here, because of the increased concentration of androgen produced by what we have the cortical cells of adrenal gland, that is one of the major effects on the ovary. That's why we have what's called PCOS. So the symptoms are one, irregular menstrual cycle. As I mentioned earlier, increased androgen secretion. That is a male sex hormone secretion. As a result, what will happen? The females have developed certain masculine characters. For example, excessive hair, either on the body surface or on the face. Excessive hair growth. That condition of excessive hair growth on the face or on the body surface in females is called hirsutism. This is called hirsutism. Excessive growth of hair, either on the body or face, that is called hirsutism. And also these persons become obese, obesity. And the development of acne, you have the development of acne. And also reduced fertility. This is because of the secretion of androgen hormone. They do not fertile in nature, unable to produce the eggs, unable to have what is called normal fertilization, pregnancy, etc. Then they have the increased risk of diabetes mellitus. There is a chance of getting what is called the sugar complaint, what we call diabetes mellitus disease. Then how to prevent this disorder? Leading a healthy lifestyle, just having balanced diet, walking, everything. And also loss of body weight. One of the reasons for that one is obesity. So we have to reduce the body weight in order to just actually suppress obesity. And also we have targeted hormone therapy. Therapy means treatment. Targeted hormone therapy, we have to administer the follicle stimulating hormone and also suppressing the secretion of what we call the androgens in the case of such people. So these are all some of the methods, the treatment methods to prevent the symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome, a disorder of female affecting the ovary in the case of females during their lifetime, that is particularly during the reproductive life. What are the various precautions to be followed during the menstrual period, keeping the various organs of the reproductive system in female in hygienic condition? So menstrual hygiene is essential, is very important for good health, well-being, dignity, empowerment, and also productivity of humans. Now, what is the impact of poor menstrual hygiene on girls? The poor menstrual hygiene, the impact of poor menstrual hygiene on girls. Number one, that is what we have, that is increase in stress level. Increase in stress level. The stress level of female increases. So I am telling about the impact of poor menstrual hygiene on girls. Number one, increase in stress level. Then number two, fear. Number three, embarrassment. Embarrassment during such periods. So the impact of what we call the poor menstrual hygiene, just normally increase in stress level, fear and embarrassment during that period. This normally keeps the girls inactive during such periods, during the menstrual periods, and leading to absenteeism from the school. So the females become inactive because of what's called poor menstrual hygiene, and what will happen, it makes them to just not attending the school and other what we call the colleges. So there is, I am mentioning about absenteeism. So absenteeism, that is nothing but the absence to the school. Now, various materials have been identified. They are being used to manage menstruation. So clean and safe absorbable clothing materials. Then we have the sanitary napkins, the pads, the tampons and menstrual cups. These are all the materials have been identified. They are used to improve or used to manage what we have just menstruation. So change of menstrual materials for 4 to 5 hours as per the requirement can provide what we have actually cleanliness, comfort and giving protection from infection. So a female should change what we have, the material, the sanitary material every now and then 4 to 5 hours. That will provide comfort, cleanliness and also to what we call protection from infection. The used sanitary napkins should be wrapped with paper and disposed. Now normally flushing out the sanitary napkins in toilets or in drainage pipes of toilets can normally choking the what is called drainage lines. Choking means normally blocking. Choking means blocking. So flushing out of the sanitary napkins in what we have the toilet drainage pipes will cause the choking of what is called just actually the drainage line, which leads to water pollution. So the used sanitary napkins should not be thrown into open areas or into the drainage pipes of toilets. These are the things to be followed by a female. So this is about what we have, a few words about the menstrual hygiene. The next one, I want to talk about what is menopause, or I would like to go first. How can you remove just what is called just the napkins by scientific methods or by eco-friendly measures? So these napkins just normally removed or disposed through what we have eco-friendly measures. So the eco-friendly measures to dispose what is called the menstrual waste scientifically and hygienically is by using incinerators. By using incinerators. Municipal incinerators. So you have to just remove the sanitary or what we call the waste material because of the menstrual cycle, and that is one of the eco-friendly measures to dispose what is called the menstrual waste, scientifically and hygienically, is by use of incinerators. What is incineration? Burn into ashes. What is incineration? Burn into ashes. The medical waste also disposed of by means of what is called incineration. So you have to just make the materials burn into ashes. So incinerators are used for burning the sanitary napkins or any other materials or any other waste obtained as a result of what we have menstrual cycle with the help of incinerators. Nowadays measures have been taken by the government for installing incinerators, and also what we have sanitary vendor machines, removers, sanitary vendor machines in washrooms, in schools, colleges and other public places. So that is, we have to remove what is called the menstrual waste by means of incinerators. They are normally doing the process of incineration, that is nothing but burning into ashes. So this is one of the methods adapted in removing just actually the waste, menstrual waste, in an eco-friendly way. Eco-friendly way means not affecting the environment, we are removing the waste. The same method is also adapted for burning or just a disposal of medical waste, like syringes, the blood, any other waste. Okay, that is about what we have, how to remove, that is the menstrual waste. The method adapted is nothing but incineration by using incinerators. What is menopause? So it is one of the phase in the women's life when menstruation and ovulation starts. So there is no ovulation because there is no menstruation. So the arrest of what is called, you have the menstrual cycle. So the age for this menopause lies between 45 to 50 years in women. Okay, so it is a phase or a stage in the women's life when menstruation and ovulation starts. There is no menstrual cycle, there is no growth of the ovary, everything being stopped. The cessation of the ovary function, we can say, stoppage of ovary function. So the normal average age for menopause in women is about 45 to 50 years. 45 to 50 years. This is the normal, what is called, average age for menopause. So once menopause occurs, it indicates a complete cessation, that is a permanent cessation. Cessation means stoppage. A permanent cessation of the ovary. So it indicates a permanent cessation of the primary functions of the ovary. The primary functions, nothing but you know that one, the development of follicle, the formation of the egg and ovulation process. So it indicates the permanent cessation of the primary functions of the ovary. So stoppage of menstruation, stoppage of ovulation, cessation of the primary functions of the ovary. The word cessation refers to stoppage of all primary functions of the ovary. Now the next one, the menstrual disorders. Disorders associated with the menstrual cycle. It is only for pure science students, not for bio students. It is only for pure science students, not for bio students. Number 1, amenorrhea. Number 2, polymenorrhoea. Number 3, dysmenorrhea. Number 4, menorrhagia. And number 5, oligomenorrhea. What do you mean by that is amenorrhea? Absence of menstruation. There is no menstruation. Absence of menstruation. Absence of menstruation. No menstruation at all. There are two types of amenorrhea. Primary amenorrhea. So we have the secondary amenorrhea. Primary amenorrhea and secondary amenorrhea. What is primary amenorrhea? Primary amenorrhea. If there is menarche. That is what is called puberty. No menarche. Till the age of 18. Till 18th age. Then it's called primary amenorrhea. So there is no menarche. Menarche means attaining puberty. There is no menarche attaining puberty till 18th. That age is called primary amenorrhea. Secondary amenorrhea, that secondary amenorrhea, that is the absence of what is called menstruation for over 3 consecutive months. Absence of actually menstruation for over 3 months continuously, consecutively. 3 just over 3 consecutive months. This is what is called secondary amenorrhea. So amenorrhea, absence of menstruation. If there is no menarche or puberty being attained till the age of 18, then it's called primary amenorrhea. And secondary amenorrhea, now there is no or absence of menstruation for 3 consecutive months. Then it is called secondary amenorrhea. So we'll see one by one others. Now what is polymenorrhea? It is a condition of what is called the menstrual cycle, which is shorter than 21 days. Shorter than 21 days. Normal menstrual period, the menstrual cycle, the whole period is about 28 days up to 29 days. But here in the case of polymenorrhea, it is shorter than 21 days. So it is not attaining the maximum time. Now what is the reason for polymenorrhea? It is because of hyperactivity of pituitary gland. Hyperactivity of pituitary gland. Hyperactivity of pituitary gland. This is one of the reasons for what we have polymenorrhea, hyperactivity of the pituitary gland. As a result of hyperactivity of pituitary glands, we have frequent ovulation. Frequent ovulation occurs. Then we have psychological disturbances. Psychological disturbances. And also or we can say in this way, malnutrition. So, the menstrual cycle is shorter than 21 days. It is because of the overactivity of pituitary gland, hyperactivity, which causes frequent ovulation and also psychological disturbances and malnutrition. We have, for example, chronic pelvic inflammation. Chronic pelvic inflammation caused by certain sexually transmitted disease. Chronic pelvic inflammation is the various disorders in and around the female reproductive system. That is called chronic pelvic inflammation, lasting forever, affecting the various organs in the pelvic region. This chronic pelvic inflammation normally caused by STD. Some STD, for example, chlamydiasis, and also gonorrhea. See, because of what we have this polymenorrhea, what is happening? Chronic pelvic inflammation caused by certain sexually transmitted diseases like chlamydiasis and gonorrhea, which cause the inflammation of the uterus, leading to what's called polymenorrhea. So, these are all what we have, overactivity. So, the period is shorter than 21 days, hyperactivity of pituitary gland, and that results frequent ovulation, psychological disturbances and malnutrition. These are all the symptoms of polymenorrhea. What is the main cause? The chronic pelvic inflammation, that's the main cause, caused by sexually transmitted diseases like chlamydiasis and then gonorrhea. So this is a fungal-like infection, this is a bacterial infection, which cause the inflammation of what we have the uterus, leading to polymenorrhea. This is the second one. Now the next menstrual disorder is dysmenorrhea. So it is actually associated with the pain during the menstrual period. When pain is associated with the menstrual period, then it's called dysmenorrhea. This is the most commonly reported menstrual disorder. Most commonly reported menstrual disorder. Again, it is being divided into two: primary dysmenorrhea and secondary dysmenorrhea. What is happening during primary dysmenorrhea? Pain or cramps during menstrual period, particularly during the time of menstruation, just for 5 days. What is the reason for that one? Due to the secretion of one particular hormone, namely prostaglandins, in the uterus. Prostaglandins is a type of fatty acid hormone, a fatty acid derivative hormone. When it is secreted in the uterus more than the normal level, it causes what's called primary dysmenorrhea, associated with what we call pain or cramps during the menstrual period. Now the second one, secondary dysmenorrhea. When there is a disorder in the reproductive system, for example, we have number one, endometriosis. This is nothing but the inflammation of the innermost layer of endometrium of the uterus, or uterine fibroids, abnormal fibrous tissue, connective tissue, just develops in the form of just what is called fibrous growth on the inner wall of the uterus. So the secondary dysmenorrhea, it is a disorder because of what we have, some reproductive system in the infected state. It may be because of the inflammation of the endometrium, that is called endometriosis, or we have the fibrous growth in the form of lump on the inner wall of the uterus, that is called uterine fibroids. These are the two reasons mainly for primary and secondary, what is called dysmenorrhea. So whenever menstrual period, the person normally suffers what we call the pain or cramps during the menstrual period time. Fourth menstrual disorder is menorrhagia. It refers to heavy and prolonged menstrual period, which normally disrupts the women's normal activities. What is the reason for the development of menorrhagia? So continuous what is called actual menstrual period for a long time, loss of blood also. It may be due to hormonal imbalance, particularly we have the FSH, LH, progesterone and estrogen hormones. They are not secreted properly in specific time. Then we have ovary dysfunction. The ovary is not functioning properly. The next one, uterine fibrosis, the fibrous growth of connective tissue on the inner wall of the uterus. And finally, we also have some cancer, particularly in the ovary or in the uterus or cervix. These are all the reasons for the development of menorrhagia, heavy and prolonged menstrual period. Now the last type of menstrual disorder is oligomenorrhea. So it is a condition with infrequent menstrual period. Just we don't have, that is, frequency is not regular, it's not recurrence. Infrequent menstrual period. It may occur sometimes, it may not occur sometimes, like that. So it is normally common or occurs in women of childbearing age. At the time of childbearing age, just below what we have 40, we can say. So, some variations during menstruation is normal, acceptable, some variations. But when a woman regularly goes more than 35 days, without menstruating, it may be diagnosed as oligomenorrhea. So menstruation is sometimes, in some cases, small variations occur in the case of female. But when a woman regularly goes more than 35 days without menstruating, and that condition may be considered as what is called oligomenorrhea. So these are the 5 different types of what is called menstrual disorders. The syllabus is only for zoology and not for, that is, biozoology. This is for pure science only. Okay. With that I concluded about what we have the different types of menstrual disorder.